Well, hello there. It's Wayne Ross from Skint Musician Reviews. I have a confession to make. I've just done this entire video. Do you know what I forgot to do? I was listening back with the audio through this. I'm like, that's really fucking quiet and a lot of hiss. What's going on? Is my condenser screwed? No, idiot here forgot to plug it in. And it was picking up the SM57 from the other side of the room. It still was. Anyway, today's video is about audio interfaces. How do you get your instrument and microphones and shit into your computer? It seems fairly simple, doesn't it, really? You plug stuff in, it listens to it, twang, 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 off you go. Not really. All interfaces are not created equal. Let me take you on a journey through the many interfaces I have had, including one that a friend has that also is very good. First one I ever got was this cable. One end, and I know it's going to go blurry, even though I'm going to hold it near the camera. You have a guitar jack, and the other end, you have a USB, and it's got a microphone. So, and this is made by Alesis, right? I bought this, cost about like 25, 30 quid, something like that. I thought, oh, that'll be easy. Plug it in the guitar, plug it into the computer, twangy, 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 sorted. No, this is junk. The latency on that, I was getting between about quarter of a second to half a second, and use the ASIO for all drivers, which I hate with a passion because it's a lovely way for companies to get out of any problems involving the driver. Because they go, oh, well, it's open source, like, so it's not our fault. We don't make it, we just use it. If you're making sometimes expensive bits of gear, it's no good saying the driver is not your fault if it doesn't fucking work. That is the one you tell us to use. Simple. Right. So don't buy one of them. If you're playing it through an amp sim, which is what I've got it for originally, you know, the latency, a quarter of a second or even a tenth of a second doesn't sound like a lot until you're playing and you're used to instant feedback from the amp, right? Obviously, it's traveling at the speed of sound, but it's instantaneous to all intents and purposes. The moment you add latency or lag into it, it'll knock your playing off. You know, part of your brain, at least for me, tries to play along with the tempo, and the other part's trying to fit with the tempo by the sound that's coming out. So your playing's rough as a donkey's arse, basically. You've got to pick one or the other. I apologize for the squeaky chair. It's a new chair, and it squeaks like fuck. What can you do? The next one I got, this is a bit out of order. You know, this is sort of not the way people would normally do it. I was out shopping one day with the wife in a place called the Metro Centre, which is a big shopping mall in Gateshead, not far from here. And I saw this Boss BR800. Now, as well as being an 8-track studio, which I'll cover it later on, right? These are worth it sort of for the studio bit. But as an interface, well, my wife calls this a swearing machine. I'll tell you why. Every single time I plug that in via the USB, flick the little switch for the USB, and make sure it's gone through the menus for USB and everything set to USB, and done by the manual, the way you're supposed to, I'm looking at anywhere between 45 minutes to 2 hours before the fucking thing will connect. Now, as you can imagine, the air is somewhat blue in this time because I just want to do the fucking thing, right? Right there and then, I don't want to have to wait 2 hours. And by the time it finally does work, it's too bloody late, you don't feel like doing it anymore, and you're about ready to throw it out the fucking window. In fact, if I wasn't married and I was living on my own, the house would probably be boarded up because it would keep throwing out the fucking window, the useless fucking thing. So, as an interface, don't touch it with somebody else's. Guess what? Uses the ASIO for all drivers, because of fucking course it does. Now, the next one, eventually that was consigned to just being a digital studio. And I would suck up the 2-hour gap to get the songs off it, and then take the stems and fiddle around with them in Reaper or whatever. So I needed something else just for the computer side. So we got this, the Alesis Core1, right? They're fairly cheap. They have sort of a bit, I don't think you probably just see it there if I get the reflection from the window from the sunlight. A guitar and a microphone, you know, cable as well. What I liked about it was you can control the input level on the little knob there, the headphones level there. It's got a nice little switchy thing between line and guitar. You plug it in. Guess what? It uses the ASIO for all drivers. Of course it does. For listening to music, it's all right. I did have to use it for some of the tracks on my album. Some of them got replaced later on, but the latency, once you've tuned it, which I warn you will take a long time, isn't too bad. It's not too bad at all. However, some of these units had a bug that they've never done a recall on, they don't fix, and they won't reply emails about. I know because I've sent them. And that is, I went to plug in my SM57. I was wanting to make up a 12 string. Right? I don't normally plug things like that in here, just guitars straight in, It's not meant for that, for what I'm doing. And I'm listening, and I'm like, have I got the recording level set really low there? Because to be honest, I've heard louder mouse farts. And the recording level, I even turned it right the way up, which is normally a bad thing, and it still sounded like a mouse fart. And some of these, the microphones don't work on it. If you're just going in with a guitar and you're never going to use a microphone, or you want something to like listen to stuff on your computer, yeah, this will do the job. Recording wise, you're stuck with a single fucking point of input. So unless you're going through like a mini mixer or something, that's it. You're stuck. You can't have an acoustic guitar like I've got electroacoustic Venus, the Faith Venus, and so sometimes I'll have the direct out from the guitar and then also a mic in front of it or two. Can't do that with this. Can't do it. Should point out the Boss as well has only one phantom power on that, so you can only use one like powered microphone. Now, the third part of this was I want to digress slightly here, so I apologize for it. I was very near the end of my album, last couple of weeks of it, and that interface went, and that was it. It was no worky at all, right? For any input. The latency went from pretty damn decent to stupid, like 10 seconds stupid. And then it stopped working at all for any inputs. Now, the album was at the stage where it wasn't good enough to release. There was still 2 sets of vocals to do, some guitars that I needed to replace because I wasn't quite happy with the tone on them. So what do? I'm like, can't really afford right now to be spending, hundreds of pounds on a new interface, but I might not have a choice, As it turned out, a friend of mine called Matt came to my rescue, and he's given me on extended lend a Zoom R16. Now, I've been using this Zoom R16 for a few weeks now, and using it just purely as an interface to the computer, not as, because it's a recorder, an interface, and a controller. So it's a full, 16 track as well as that, but I'll not use that side. We're talking only as an interface. I can have 8 inputs going straight in. In Reaper, I can choose which of the 8 inputs I want on each channel. It's like I did a video for a friend that had died, and his funeral was yesterday. And obviously, with COVID, a lot of people couldn't get there. And like a lot of musicians, when somebody dies, yeah. And I had an SM57. I had the output from the Gretchenstein, and just panned like that, tiny bit of reverb, and the tone was fantastic. I was able to have both at the same time. I didn't have to do an overdub of exactly the same thing just to get, the mic sound and things like that. So it's really good. It's really low latency. I haven't even started tweaking the bloody thing yet. It comes with its own driver. Zoom, 10 out of 10, lads. Seriously, lads and lasses, you've got your own driver, which means if anything goes wrong with it, we can come and shout at you, and you've got to fix it. Not go open source, not our problem. Which I think is a bit cheeky, really. Because without the driver, this, the hardware doesn't work with the computer. Bit of a dodgy area, I think. Now, the reason that Matt lent me that one is he'd got one of the Scarlets. I think it was an 8 or a 16 track, one of the rack jobbies. He's a drummer. Now, although that is very good, he absolutely swears by the Scarlet. Because that Zoom, it's made of plastic. As long as you don't, you're not throwing it around the room, it's going to be fine. Whereas the Scarlet, as he said, and I'll quote him directly here, he said, it's made like a fucking tank, mate. He said, I could throw this across the fucking room. I could spill coffee on it. He said, it'll still be absolutely fine. And he has lots of, obviously, being a drummer, lots of and he says this is, spot on. He'll swear by it when he's dying there. So the Scarlets, if I had to buy one, I'd probably look at the Scarlet. If I was going for something second hand, I would go for the Zoom R16 because it does exactly what it says. In fact, It was a complete contrast to the BR800 Boss. Where with that, it's a constant fuck around for hours to get it work at all. This, I got the drivers from online, download, open up, blah, 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 open it up, sort the driver out. I plugged it in, switched it on, and it just fucking worked. How refreshing is that when things just fucking work and they work really well the first time? And so now that's my default going into the computer. You know, at the moment, the only problem I have, which is not related to that, is there's interference coming somewhere on our power line. And I'm guessing somebody's putting a washing machine on or something. And every time they do, there's like a rumble on the mic, especially on the SM57 picks it up a lot more than this does. So that's one thing I have to pick up, but that's nothing to do with that. So no, all interfaces are not created equal. Don't go for the cheap ones. Trust me, your life is too fucking short. Unless you are 1,000,000% sure that you only need one input, try and get one with more than one. At least two. At least. I like the idea of having more and not using them rather than having just one and then saying, oh, fuck, now we're double track the guitar to get the mic sound, blah, 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 or whatever, or another mic sound. You don't want to be doing that, and you'll never get it perfect. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the whole thing. So I hope that that's contributed to something. As I've said, this will not be a weekly series anymore. It'll be as and when I feel I have something to contribute. So I will be doing proper reviews on the Boss and probably the Zoom R16 at a future date when I can basically be asked. Right now, there's too much going on in life and a lot of stuff I have to do on the work front, like I have a lecture to do on Monday and stuff like that. So I'll see you all next time, next video. I'm Wayne Robson. This is Skint Musician Reviews. If you haven't liked and subscribed, do it. I should also point out my album is coming out on the 9th of February. So you'll see more of the music videos. The pirate one was it was something I felt people needed a bit of happiness in their lives right now. Some of the ones they're not like that. They are not. It's not full of pirate songs. The songs do not sound like that. That is a one tacked on the end, right? Just to let you know. So you'll see some other videos popping up on here, and so give them a listen. And there's a lot of work went into it. I think I'm confident in saying, look, I've done the best I can with the gear I have and that I can afford. Because this is not Abbey Road Studio 2, right? I have this microphone, an SM57, a selection of fucking guitars, 2 amp heads, and that's about it, really, and some effects, So I think I'm pretty confident I've done a decent job. So anyway, give it a listen. Right, once again, I'll repeat it again. I'm Wayne Robson, this is Skint Musician Reviews, and I will see you all next time, and hopefully this microphone works better than some of the other shonky shite I've been using for the other videos. Bye-bye.